In 1976, Mary Gillespie, a local bus driver in the small town of Circleville, Ohio, receives an oddly sinister letter in the mail. The letter is postmarked from Columbus and is signed only as the Circleville writer. It accuses her of having an affair with the local school superintendent, Gordon Massey. Mary, dismissing it at first, discards the letter, unaware of the terror that awaits her. Just a week later, she receives another letter, even more threatening than before. But it doesn't stop there. Inflammatory signs begin appearing along Mary's daily bus route, publicly exposing the same allegations made in the letters. The situation takes a terrifying turn when Mary narrowly escapes a death while trying to remove a booby-trapped sign. Even after the believed author of the letters is arrested and sentenced, the poison-pen letters persist, terrorizing the small town. Over the course of 2 decades, nearly 1,000 anonymous letters are received. It isn't until 1994 that the letters abruptly cease, leaving behind one of the most perplexing mysteries in true crime history. In the scorching summer of 1976, the small town of Westfall found itself gripped by an escalating series of chilling events. It all began with Mary Gillespie, a devoted school bus driver, who received a letter that would forever alter the course of her family's life. The letter arrived with distinctive block letters, and its ominous message claimed knowledge of her alleged affair with the local superintendent, Gordon Massey. The letter read, "I know where you live. I've been observing your house and know you have children. This is no joke. Please take it serious." Initially dismissing the letter as a cruel prank, Mary decided to keep it secret from her husband, Ron Gillespie. However, the sinister correspondence escalated, and Ron eventually received a letter of his own, thrusting their family into a maelstrom of fear and suspicion. The letter addressed to Ron conveyed a dire ultimatum: reveal his wife's alleged affair to the Westfall School Board, or face a fate worse than death. As the couple grappled with these shocking accusations, they chose not to confront the faceless author, hoping that by ignoring the threats, they would eventually dissipate. But their hopes were misplaced. 2 weeks passed, and the Gillespies believed the torment was over. However, their tormentor was far from finished. The subsequent letters escalated the threats to a terrifying new level, making it clear that their secrets were no longer safe. One such letter read, "Gillespie, you have had 2 weeks and done nothing. You are a pig. Make her admit the truth and inform the school board. If not, I will broadcast it on CB posters, signs, billboards, until the truth comes out. Only pigs ride motorcycles. Good hunting in your red and white truck on your way to work. I followed him for weeks since last summer and have seen her meet with him several times." The poison-pen letters didn't stop at the Gillespies. Even the school's vice principal received one, containing a cryptic message and a veiled threat. It seemed that the author knew intimate details about Mary's life, including her driver number, hinting at a sinister connection to the school. The letter read, "I shall send you proof about driver number 62917. She has a child in school there now. I shall prove this shortly. I expect him to be discharged. You'll see that I am telling the truth." Around this time, Gordon Massey was receiving his own poison-pen letters. In them, The author threatened to slash his tires and cut his brakes if he didn't end the affair. The situation was fused to its breaking point when the author started to include Mary and Ron's 12-year-old daughter, accusing Gordon Massey of assaulting her and even giving death threats. The letter read, "It's your daughter's turn to pay for what you've done. I shall come out there and put a in that little girl's head." With a sense of dread looming over them, the Gillespies realized they couldn't ignore the sinister letters any longer. They reported the threats to the sheriff's office, hoping for a swift resolution to their nightmare. Local law enforcement sprang into action, deploying wiretaps, surveillance teams, and collaborating with the Postal Service to intercept letters. However, their relentless efforts bore no fruit. The enigmatic author behind the poison pen remained elusive, like a ghost in the night. As the town of Circleville descended into paranoia, it wasn't just the Gillespies who were targeted. Like a spreading contagion, the poison pen letters found new recipients, exposing their deepest, darkest secrets. Secrets that no outsider should have known. The town's residents lived in fear of these mysterious revelations. Growing increasingly dissatisfied with the lack of progress from local law enforcement, Mary and Ron decided to confide in Ron's sister, Karen, and her husband, Paul Fresher, about the torment they had endured. In their eyes, the author of the letters was clear: David Longberry. A fellow bus driver, Longberry had persistently pursued Mary in the past, only to be rebuffed time and again. Though she had turned him away, the Freshars believed that Longberry might still harbor a grudge and seek revenge. What's more, he held the unique knowledge of Mary's driver number, making him a prime suspect. A decision was made. Paul would craft a letter addressed to David, confronting him with their belief that he was the mastermind behind the poison pen letters, demanding an end to the torment. Or they would escalate their complaint to the police. Astonishingly, the anonymous letters ceased after this confrontation, offering the Gillespies a temporary respite. But their relief was short-lived. Soon, inflammatory signs began to appear along Mary's daily bus route, bearing the same hurtful allegations found in the letters. This time, however, the accusations were displayed publicly for all to witness. Ron and Mary's concern deepened, especially for their daughter, Tracy, who found herself frequently mentioned in these malicious messages. Determined to shield Tracy from further humiliation, Ron embarked on a daily ritual, removing these signs each morning before heading to work. The unrelenting stress of the situation was taking a toll on their family. Its once solid foundation slowly eroding under the weight of the poison pen's relentless campaign. By August of 1977, Mary was desperate for an escape from the relentless nightmare haunting her in Circleville. She decided to head to Florida with her sister in search of respite. However, back at the Gillespie residence on the evening of August 19th, a phone was received. In the adjacent room, Tracy, their daughter, overheard her father's furious shouts directed at an unidentified caller. Minutes later, Ron, convinced he had confronted the poison pen author, snatched his .22 caliber revolver and hastily departed in his trusty 1971 Ford pickup truck. 50 agonizing minutes later, the wreckage of Ron's truck was discovered, its violent collision with a tree leaving devastation in its wake. Tragically, Ron had not been wearing a seatbelt and was found lifeless inside the mangled vehicle. A closer inspection revealed that a single shot had been fired from Ron's revolver, but mysteriously, neither the bullet nor any corresponding hole could be found, only the spent casing. To further complicate matters, the toxicology report unveiled a troubling truth. Ron had been driving under the influence with a blood alcohol level of 0.16, twice the legal limit. Yet, his family vehemently argued that Ron was not a habitual drinker. A thorough investigation ensued, including a polygraph test administered to a potential suspect. Sheriff Dwight Radcliffe ultimately reached the conclusion that no foul play was at play, determining the incident to be a tragic accident. Despite Ron's untimely demise, the Poison-Pen Letters showed no mercy. If anything, they grew more brazen, even accusing the sheriff of corruption and leveling allegations of abuse against the town's physician and coroner, Ray Carroll. A decade later, these shocking accusations would be proven when Carroll was exposed as a serial abuser. In the wake of Ron's death, Mary found herself at a crossroads, eventually admitting to an affair with Gordon Massey. She insisted that the affair had not commenced until after Ron's tragic accident. But the timeline was questionable. Around the same time, Mary's sister-in-law, Karen, and her husband, Paul Freshour, separated after Paul discovered his wife was cheating on him. He filed for divorce, gained full custody of the couple's children, and Karen moved out of the house and into a trailer in Mary's backyard. On a chilling winter's day, February 7th, 1983, as Mary navigated her usual bus route, she stumbled upon a shocking and grotesque sign. The sign vividly depicted an alleged affair between Gordon Massey and her own daughter, a horrifying revelation that sent shivers down her spine. Instinctively, she leaped from her bus, determined to remove this vile accusation. However, this was no ordinary sign. Attached to the pole that held the sign was a sinister surprise, a string that led to a nearby box housing a handgun, cunningly held in place by styrofoam blocks. The gun was an integral part of a crude booby trap, designed to discharge when the sign was manipulated in a specific manner. Fortunately for Mary, she did not trigger the trap's deadly mechanism. When the police examined the firearm, they uncovered a botched attempt to erase its serial number. Yet, this attempt proved insufficient to thwart Ohio's Bureau of Criminal Investigation, who skillfully recovered the concealed digits. The serial number led them on an unexpected path, straight to Paul Freshour, Mary's brother-in-law. Sheriff Radcliffe confronted Paul about the firearm, to which he offered a curious explanation: that the gun had been stolen from him 2 weeks prior, a theft he had inexplicably failed to report. The situation escalated as both men proceeded to the county courthouse, where Paul was arrested and formally charged with the attempted murder of Mary Gillespie. Paul staunchly maintained his innocence from the very outset and cooperated with investigators. However, skepticism persisted after he failed a polygraph test, casting a shadow of doubt. They asked him to emulate the distinctive block lettering found in the Poison-Pen Letters, using his own handwriting. Forensic analysis of this handwriting sample yielded an unsettling revelation. Paul's writing was an exact match for the Poison-Pen Letters, Throughout Paul's trial, Karen Freshour took the stand and recounted a troubling revelation. She claimed to have discovered numerous letters within their shared home while they were still residing together. However, when pressed to produce these critical documents, she declared that she had disposed of them all. A critical aspect to consider was the bitter divorce Paul and Karen had recently endured. A divorce that had left her with nothing. She had lost custody of their children, their home, and their savings. The prosecution bolstered their case with the testimony of 2 handwriting experts. These experts asserted that it was plausible that Paul Freshour could have authored the Poison-Pen Letters. But here's a detail that the jury never had the chance to hear. Another bus driver had spotted a tall, sandy-haired man in the vicinity of the sign approximately 20 minutes before Mary arrived. This witness also noted that the man was driving a yellow El Camino, a striking contrast to Paul, who had dark hair and did not own such a vehicle. Intriguingly, at that time, Karen was involved with a man who precisely matched this description, and she had a family member who possessed an El Camino. Strangely, no efforts were undertaken to identify this man or determine his whereabouts. Despite having a compelling alibi for the majority of the day, Paul decided not to testify in his own defense. Consequently, Paul was found guilty of attempted murder and handed the maximum sentence 7 to 25 years behind bars. The arrest of Paul Freshour appeared to bring an end to the nightmarish saga of the mysterious Poison-Pen Letters. The community breathed a collective sigh of relief, believing that the torment had finally ceased. But they were wrong. It soon became apparent that nothing could halt the venomous quill behind these hate-filled diatribes. Even with Paul locked away in prison, hundreds of letters continued to flood into Circleville and its neighboring areas, leaving locals in a state of perpetual dread. The poison pen's reach extended even into the confines of the prison itself, where Paul received letters of his own, baffling the prison staff. Despite their best efforts to prevent Paul from sending the letters, the enigma persisted. Doubts began to creep in, with more individuals questioning whether Paul was indeed the guilty party, including the sheriff himself. During this tumultuous period, numerous letters arrived accusing the prosecutor from Paul's trial, Roger Klein, of a heinous crime, murdering a pregnant woman. According to these letters, Klein had impregnated a teacher and then orchestrated her death. Yet, these allegations remained unverifiable. As if the situation couldn't grow more sinister, much of the hate mail arriving in Circleville became laced with arsenic. Fortunately, no one suffered serious harm from these toxic missives. The letters continued unabated throughout Paul's lengthy incarceration. Finally, in May 1994, after spending a decade behind bars, Paul was granted parole. He had steadfastly maintained his innocence throughout his imprisonment and continued to assert his innocence until his passing in 2021, at the age of 70. In that same year, 1994, the popular television show Unsolved Mysteries decided to cover the perplexing case. However, even before production commenced, the studio received a chilling anonymous letter warning them against airing the episode. Undeterred, the show proceeded to broadcast the episode. Then, as mysteriously as the Poison-Pen Letters had begun, they abruptly ceased. Since that time, no reports of any hate-filled letters have surfaced, leaving behind a haunting silence. This perplexing case, riddled with twists and turns, invites endless speculation about the identity of the mastermind behind the poison-pen letters that terrorized Circleville's residents for nearly 2 decades. While law enforcement pinned their hopes on Paul Fresher as the culprit, the persistent influx of letters during his incarceration raised unsettling questions. The internet brims with theories regarding the true author or authors behind the poison-pen letters. One particular theory, which strikes me as plausible, unfolds as follows. It all begins with Mary Gillespie's co-worker, David Longberry, consumed by fury when Mary spurned his advances in favor of a relationship with Gordon Massey, the superintendent. He emerges as the prime suspect for initiating the poison-pen letters, considering that the initial letters sent to Mary and Ron exclusively revolved around the alleged affair between Mary and Gordon. Ron Gillespie, acutely aware of Longberry's involvement, mustered the liquid courage one day to confront him. His ensuing car accident was merely a tragic mishap, nothing more. This, however, doesn't entirely account for Ron discharging a shot, or where that elusive bullet might have gone. The theory posits that in a fit of drunken anger, Ron could have fired it in a random direction, lacking any specific target. His family attested to Ron's infrequent drinking habits, suggesting that he would have been heavily intoxicated with a BSE of 0.16. After Paul and Karen Freshar's bitter divorce, Karen allegedly embarked on a campaign to frame Paul. She began by placing signs around town, eventually escalating to the construction of a booby trap. It's worth noting that Paul had secured the house and custody of their children in the divorce, likely fueling Karen's deep-seated bitterness. Karen's connection to the case deepened with the presence of a yellow El Camino at the intersection where Mary stumbled upon the booby-trapped sign. Her boyfriend, later to become her husband, strikingly resembled the sandy-haired man witnessed at the scene, and she had a relative who owned a yellow El Camino. However, this theory remains far from flawless. It leaves unanswered questions, such as why Karen would persist in writing letters even after Paul's imprisonment, how she came into possession of so many residents' secrets, and how multiple handwriting experts linked Paul's handwriting to the poison-pen letters. This enigma undoubtedly ranks among the most mysterious cases that continue to haunt my thoughts. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. Before you click away, if you liked this video, please leave a like. If you enjoy mysteries like this and want more, be sure to subscribe. If you have theories regarding this case, or have cases that I should look into next, please leave them in the comment section below. I would love to read all of them. Finally, if you are still hungry for more, let me recommend you the video about America's most mysterious train disaster, or the mystery of a ghostly ship that vanished forever. Once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time with another Midnight Mystery.